What's going on, y'all? So tonight we're going to discuss what's going on in the world with this crazy weather. We're going to talk about the fires, floods, the earthquakes, all of that. We're going to cover it. First of all, of course, we're going to let YouTube know that we're going to be using those clips for fair use and only for fair use. As you can see right there, we're not trying to claim ownership of any of these copyrights, just using them for criticism, teaching, and reporting, of course. So I hope that's understood. Now that it is understood, let's move forward. So first we're going to look at this vid right here, which I came upon, and I must say it had a lot of info. Just going to look at it for a little bit and take a listen to exactly what they're talking about and what they're saying, and I'll make my commentary right after.
Greece, like so much of Europe, is grappling with extreme weather. And as this part of the Mediterranean burns,
Southern Europe's worst heatwave for more than 30 years has fueled fires across parts of Spain, Italy, Greece and Turkey for 3 days now.
In less than a week, more than 100 forest fires have broken out across the country.
On the island of Evia, by ancient Olympia, people are fleeing.
Now, let me just pause right here and interject for a moment. Do you see all that water? Now, is it just me, or is it counterintuitive of me to think that because they have all that water there, that could be a source to put that fire out? I'm just saying. Seems like if the fire is that close to the water, that you would be using that water to put the fire out, because even if it's seawater, the destruction from the fire would be worse than using seawater to put it out. That's just my line of thinking. And that goes for forest fires too. Yeah, it's salty water. It would drench the topsoil and probably erode it. But as opposed to letting everything burn, like, you know, on a scale, which one is worse? Letting everybody's house, animals and everything burn, or using salt water to put it out? I don't know. Let's proceed. I'm just saying.
Wildfires have closed in on these shores, and residents and tourists are being crowded onto ferries and fishing boats. Leaving behind the burning island.
Greece, like many parts of Europe, has been grappling with extreme weather this summer, widespread flooding and colder than average temperatures in Central Europe.
In Belgium, heavy rain.
Now, when they say this summer, talking about now, right? We're talking about 2021, okay? We're talking about current events right now. You'll see why I'm making this note right now, but let's go on for a little bit.
Rainfall has caused severe flooding less than a fortnight after deadly flash floods across Western Europe. A typhoon is battering China days after severe flooding killed dozens of people. Scientists say these events are becoming more common because warmer temperatures mean the air holds more moisture, which leads to more extreme.
A record heat wave is fueling devastating wildfires across much of the southern Mediterranean and eastern Europe tonight. Hundreds of blazes have broken out, many of them multiplying in recent days. Italy, Croatia, Greece, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, and Ukraine are tackling dozens of wildfires.
Extreme temperatures.
It went from fire to flooding to fire again. This is California they're talking about right now. Last one was Greece. This is Cali.
And dry conditions are fueling wildfires in Northern California.
In between Greece and California, they were talking about flooding in Belgium and China. So we're talking about different places, okay?
Fire is threatening Spain too. This is the Catalonia region and one of the worst fires here in years. There were similar scenes on the Italian island of Sardinia, an out-of-control fire after a heatwave. While no single event can be attributed to climate change,
to be stuck on a beach, surrounded by fire on all sides.
Now they're saying it might be related to climate change. Now, I don't know how accurate that is from my part. I mean, I don't know that, these forest fires are started because of, what would you call it, spontaneous combustion, where it gets so hot that things just ignite. I mean, I don't know. It may be so, it may not be so. Who knows? But especially in the West Coast of America, is known to happen. And yet still there is no contingency plan in place for when it happens for them to deal with it quickly and efficiently. You're talking about something that has been happening for years, which is why I made the point about using the salt water. If you know that it gets to a point where once this time comes around, the fires get so out of hand that there's nothing that you can do, to contain it, maybe that's something that needs to happen. I'm just saying, pipeline straight out of the ocean, or trucks that do carry salt water and have salt water hoses or whatever the case is, so that that kind of devastation does not occur. And I'm going to play another video so you can see why I say that. All right. Let's go to the next video. Now, this is the next video. I haven't started it yet, but if you can see right here, this is October of last year. If you can see it right here. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay, my finger was on it. There it is. All right, so I'm going to play this and let you listen for a bit, just so you can hear for yourself. Last year, not this year, last year.
Fires have destroyed 26 times more land in the state this year than last.
This year, that statement that she made was about 2020. It was worse than last year, 2019. Now we're in 2021. So how many consecutive years of these fires destroying land are you going to allow to happen before you actually try to do something drastic so that it doesn't happen? I mean, there's more water on this earth than land. Let's just think about it logistically speaking, right? Let's move on.
The blazes have destroyed property and forced many more people from their homes. They're only the latest in a series of wildfires that have caused chaos in the past few weeks.
The state of emergency in Northern California's wine country triggered just as hundreds of homes go up in flames and more than 20,000 are still under threat, with 3 major fires now converging into one monster blaze.
Driving through Yosemite National Park, a convoy.
Now you're going to let all this damage happen and not use salt water? I mean, if if you're really concerned about it spreading to people's homes and, destroying the entire forest and all this stuff, killing animals, killing wildlife, then, I think it's worth it. I think it is. Let's move on.
Fleeing the flames. Rangers leading the way as a number of tourists had to be evacuated. It looked like a fairly perilous trip. Dark clouds above, burning trees never far away. This is just one of a series of fires burning through central and northern California. High temperatures, precious little rain. It is a dangerous combination.
Mother Nature is something that we don't try to guess.
It's a race against time and the elements. The increasingly hot, windy weather is giving the glass fire everything it needs to grow. With nearly 19,000 firefighters on the front lines across California.
19,000 firefighters. 19,000 in California trying to fight fires. Now, here's the last vid. So on top of the flooding, the fires, now there's more earthquakes, right? They've been having earthquakes. The earth been moving, especially in California, Yellowstone Park. There's another vid I have on here. I gotta find it, but let's look at this one because this one is the latest one. This one's from Haiti. And, of course, it was pretty bad. So let's take a listen.
The death toll from a devastating earthquake in Haiti rose to more than 700 on Sunday as rescue workers scrambled to find survivors under the rubble. The 7.2 magnitude quake, which hit one day earlier, flattened hundreds of homes and buildings, with rescue efforts about to become more complicated by the arrival of Tropical Storm Grace, set to lash Haiti with heavy rains on...
So they just had an earthquake, 7.2 magnitude, and there's a tropical storm on the way as well. So, double whammy.
Monday, the southwestern region of Haiti bore the brunt of the earthquake, especially in and around the city of Les Cayes. Haiti is still recovering from the effects of another major earthquake 11 years ago and reeling from the...
Still recovering from an earthquake 11 years ago. Remember that? There was so much aid that was supposed to be sent out to that place. You know, people donating all kinds of money and stuff. 11 years later, they're still recovering. I wonder why that is. How come? What happened to all that aid? I don't know. But let's move on.
The assassination of its president, Jovenel Moïse, in July. Some Haitians spent the weekend sleeping out in the open, traumatized by memories of the magnitude 7 quake in 2010 that struck closer to the capital, Port-au-Prince, and killed tens of thousands of people. U.S. President Joe Biden, in a statement, said he was saddened by the latest catastrophe and authorized aid to Haiti. The U.S. Coast Guard airlifted injured residents.
Authorized aid to Haiti. Yeah. Okay.
Including babies off the island nation. Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who was thrust to the forefront after the president's death, stressed that the distribution of aid must be more organized than it was in 2010, when chaos and logistical confusion severely hampered efforts.
Okay. So let's take a look at the other one real quick and I'll wrap it up. Okay, so this is the other vid. Let's take a listen at what they have to say.
A huge search and rescue operation is underway in Japan tonight after a landslide swept away an entire section of a city. The disaster was triggered by heavy rains and more than a dozen people are missing.
Locals could hear it before they could see it. A wall of water and mud collecting everything in its way.
Look at that.
Furniture, cars, entire homes swept up in its rage. Power poles exploding as they were torn from their foundations. This driver, while trying to avoid the initial trickle, unknowingly turns into the path of destruction. The landslide struck in the seaside city of Itami, 2 hours south of Tokyo. The concoction of debris and earth continuing to creep through the streets long after the moment of impact. At least 19 people are missing, with 10 homes destroyed. A search and rescue mission now underway. Those who are high enough to be safe left in disbelief, recording the extent of the devastation. The region had been battered by heavy rain for several days, causing widespread flooding and smaller landslips like this one, precursors to a force no one saw coming.
Okay, so there's earthquakes, floods, landslides, fires, all over the world, right? And it could be attributed to climate change, right? And what can we do about climate change, right? Everybody has their suggestions. You have people that talk about using less plastic and, trying to make your carbon footprint smaller, all these things that, maybe if everybody makes a few changes, maybe it might make a difference, or maybe it might not. I just think about it. These are the disasters that are happening all over the world. In the midst of that, now we have a new factor with the variants coming out of India, right? First it was a Delta, now it's something else. Now, depending on where you are, obviously you have not experienced these types of weather phenomenons for yourself, and maybe all you have to deal with is the fear of the virus, right? Maybe that's all you have to deal with. But look at what these people are dealing with. So I would say make it simple. Instead of having your kids wearing masks all day in school, just let them stay home, do school from home. If you can stay home to work, then stay home to work, right? It's better than having this as your option, okay? If there's really a fear of it being that contagious, then I would say those are the best options, right? Because nobody wants to have to deal with this instead. I wouldn't want to have to deal with it instead. That's my feeling. A logical person would say, okay, yeah, better that than this, right? So, there are logical reasons to be afraid, If something like that is happening in a town near you or in your town, then obviously you'd be in a panic. But for something that you can't see, don't really understand, I would say you have to make the decision yourself and what is best for you and what is best for your children. A lot of people are being selfish and, just trying to get rid of the kids. Oh, yeah, let them go to school and wear a mask all day. That doesn't make sense. You cutting off this child's air supply, can't breathe properly in the classroom all day where they're learning what? Something that they could learn on the internet anyways. If that's what it's coming down to, and then learning has to be remote, then okay, that's what it is. Right? People all over the world are going through things. Terrible things, life-changing events, So everybody has to decide what is best for themselves and their families, not just what's best for you as an adult. You have to think about what is best for my child as well, and if keeping them home, letting them learn from home, safety of their own home, you make sure you have your supplies and whatever, then that's where it's going to have to be. Gotta start thinking for yourself and not let, somebody that's supposedly a politician or some official tell you what to think. At the end of the day, nobody can love your children like you. You would not want them to be in that sort of devastation that's going on around the world. So if you're not in any of these parts of the world and all you have to deal with is, the pandemic, as they call it, then you make, the choice to keep yourself and your family safe. That's what I can say in closing. I hope you liked the video. I hope it was informative. I hope you, found out something that's going on beyond, just your neighborhood. So, till next time.